Colonel Classwoods here from Platoon Pieces, and I'm going to be doing, as you can see before me, all the V4 stuff is in for Late War, Armies of Late War. So I'll be doing two things today. The first thing is I'll be going through the Armies of Late War book. That's the first thing I'll be doing. The second thing I'll do is I will go through a Soviet tank shot group unboxing. So we'll try and get through both of them as soon as possible. So let's start. Okay, so the Armies of Late War book is something that everyone has kind of worried and wanted for some time. The Armies of Late War, especially for version 4, has been kind of lacking. There's been a lot of criticism that we can't really use the old point systems because the point systems don't account for the loss of the command teams with gun teams, and we need to get better point systems because the Soviets, they have got 10 tank platoons and everything like that. But I think this book tries to give us a bit of a version 3.5, as it were, at least until they can get to late war and do everything properly. And we know Battlefront will do that, they're just not there yet. So this is the map of January 1944. This is the opening book. You see this all the time. It seems to be pretty much standard. They might have changed a little bit of the graphics. I'm not really very sure. But yeah, let's just jump right in. So in the book, they've actually covered the four main forces, which they've told you that they will, which is the British, the US, the German, and the Soviets. So all the smaller guys will probably come out later as a PDF or whatever. So they kind of go through the Western Front, the Eastern Front. They explain everything a little bit in detail. They've used a lot of the same images that we've seen before. They've got a few new ones. So all in all, I think pretty standard. This, of course, we all remember from the Western Front D-Day Overlord. That's there. So they start with the Americans. They bring them out into a very simple idea of all the tanks that they're going to bring. Remember that because of this new version, they are trying to actually take away a lot of the old rules of having some units be CT, some units be CV, or RV or RT, reluctant train, reluctant vets, and all that. Very, very clearly at the start of it, you've got all the US special rules, which is pretty clear-cut. I mean, that doesn't need to be emphasized too much on. But what they have here is we have our formations. So it's a very, very similar set to what you see in the Team Yankee books, where you have tank destroyers, Shermans, and you have your core units, which you can bring multiple of, as many as you like. And then after that, you have your support, which doesn't add up to your formation morale. So this is the standard one. Also, do remember that in version 4, all air is now no longer on a priority metric where it's high, it's high priority, limited, or sporadic. It's dependent on the points that you buy. So as we go through the book, we kind of see that you can, for a Sherman tank company, you can actually bring your Pershings, you can bring your Super Pershings, you can bring your M4 Lates, you can do all that. You also can bring your Stuarts, and your 105s, and that means that you can actually bring a 105 platoon for every company that you choose to bring. So that's actually quite interesting. Basically, they've put everything into card format, so it's easier for newer players to get an idea of what you're using, what you're playing with. You can do, your Pershings. It's generally the same system, where you're a veteran, you are hit on a 4, and you have a skill of 3+, and you're confident. It's also got your front, your side, and your top armor. Points are all pretty much what we've seen before. Nothing much has seriously changed. You still have all your 50 cals and stuff like that. Of course, it doesn't restrict you to having to play a Bridge and Remagen list to bring your Super Pershings, but they do say that, Super Pershings, you can still only bring one. So that's fair, I guess. They have the M5 Stuart tank platoons, all pretty much stock standard stuff. And then you've got your support, your tank destroyer companies. They have the new Seek, Strike, Destroy rules, stuff like that. It's all pretty standard for the US. And they've got the same anti-tank guns, cannons, whatever. So these are the planes. So the planes, you bring them all. You always get them in twos now. You can't bring one and you can't bring three. So everything is standard. and it tells you also that aircrafts are hit on 5+, and their veteran is 3. They have bombs. One criticism I do have is that they don't actually tell you what bombs do. In fact, it even doesn't say it in the rulebook that bombs is a special rule or a note. So what you have to realize is that bombs, they don't take a penalty for being less than 3 guns like artillery do. So that needs to be spelled out a little bit clearer. After that, we go into the Germans. The first thing you'll realize when you look at the Germans is they do the same format. They show you all the tanks, they show you all the nice cool stuff. But one thing they don't do is they don't do SS. So the whole force for the Americans are CV, and the whole force for the Germans are also CV. So you have all the new rules put into the rule set, where you have last stand, tiger, ace, and all that, all added into your stat card already. But they haven't added it. They haven't added in the SS yet. One of the things that a lot of people who were playing version 4 mid-war realized was that the 88 guns went up to AT-14. So we thought that they would do the same thing for the Tigers, but they didn't. The Tigers are still at 13 here. So we don't know if it's a middle fix or they're actually intending for V4 mid-war never to have to interact or be on the same scale as how we do anti-tank ratings for late war, but we know it's the same gun. So we don't know if this is version 3.5 yet, or they're going to do it in another way. Point system seems to be roughly about the same. The Yak Tiger looks to have moved a little bit. Panthers, Stokes, you can bring all the same thing, all the same formations. I don't see the Whirlwinds in here though. I don't know if it's at the start. Let me just check that. Who are the Germans? Yeah, it looks like the Whirlwinds and the Hetzer and the Ostwinds are not here. The only thing you can bring is the Armored AA Platoon. So that's a quad 2cm or a 3.7. That being said, BF hasn't declared that the old books are outlawed, so they could still be canon and fully tournament legal. You have your SS Panzergrens, that's very standard. You also have your Grenadiers, so you have all the same stuff that you had before. The Yak Tigers look like they changed in points a little bit, but I can't be sure. I think they did. Yeah, the 88s over here are still AT-13, and you lose the ability to bring an extra crew for them, unless that's going to be released in cards later on. So that's that. You do get the option to bring both the Stukas, whether you want to bring them with the bombs or you want to bring them with the cannon, that's up to you. So yeah, it looks like they tried to cover as much as they could in a single book, but they're going to try and do the books again later on. So that they're going to have more cards. You also see that they have the wild cards, the allied formations, and the formation support. So you can pretty much lay a bet that they're going to do what they did with V4 mid-war and release cards to allow you to do different things. It is interesting that in a book like this, that they have taken out all the non-essential bits and all the flavorful units like the Calliope and all that, but you see the Churchill here. So that kind of tells you something about the direction they're going. I think that means that they're probably going to do the Churchill in a plastic kit soon, as well as with the Hummer and the Daimler. The Hummer's already out for mid-war, so they're just kind of reusing as much as they can. Priests, sextons, they're all there. So yeah, it looks they have a background. British Bulldog now also affects tanks, which is interesting. They did the Cromwells, they did the Churchills, that's all fine. Stats all look largely the same. You have your late Churchills, which are still 13. Oh, that's interesting. I just realized that for the support section, they showed a Churchill Crocodile, but I don't know if that's... Oh, okay, so it's a support unit. It's just not part of the formation itself. That's fine. Yeah, so they did a fairly good job. I think at the very least, selling this to new players will be easier because you have a card where they can see everything. It's easier to do. I do think that Battlefront will need to move in the direction of getting an app, much like Warmer Hordes did. I think that's a very, very useful, very, very easy thing to do, because as things update, when you change rules, you can just change it there, and people just, they just, instead of us having to continuously buy books. So yeah. If you look at the Soviet force, they actually only have 4 main battalions you can choose from: the T-34s, the Churchills, the IS-2s, and the rifles. And again, you see the Churchill here. Now, they've already said that for most of the things moving forward, they don't want to get people to keep buying resin kits because they know that's very expensive. So I think this is further confirmation that they're going to do a Churchill in plastic soon. And if you look at the mid-war timeline, they're going to have to go to it sooner or later, because late mid-war, if that's a thing, has Churchills, Admiral does. And actually, come to think of it, yeah, if you see here, under T-34, because in Red Bear we could bring Valentines, and they have Valentines here too, so I think they will have Valentines for mid-war as well in Africa, so they probably will do these up again. The other thing that's very obvious with what they've done with the T-34s and the Soviets is they've kind of made them all fearless. So you can't keep getting the cheap stuff of the confident train anymore. We also don't have the hero companies in here, so you have to bring the fearless companies, and you have to bring the normal ones, the hen and chicks variant. You can't bring the hero companies anymore. They also have Churchills, so it looks like they're trying to make the kits that would help the most units and in the shortest time possible. IS-2s don't look like they've changed too much. They look roughly the same. Maybe a couple of points more. Yeah, I think it used to be 300. Now it's 305. Yeah, for the late one. But the stat line looks largely the same. You've got your rifle battalions. They don't have your Shtraf, which you used to have, but the Commissar still seems to be in there, so you can do that. That all sounds pretty good. You got your Scout Platoon with Infiltration. Infiltration is very different now, but you guys can check that out on your own for V4. You've got your medium cat guns, and you had the OT-34 flame tank, which is interesting. They gave us this, but they didn't give us the KV flame tank. So you can see they're trying to put as the essential units as far as possible to try and make everyone kind of even. Like, they gave you a 100mm gun, which I think most Soviet players would never have used, but it's here. And the reason is probably because they want to make sure that everyone gets the same kind of level of stuff, just like the Germans had the Pak-43. The Katyushas are still in. They give them the ability to do the double width template. And they don't do the... Okay, alright, so if you add the 5 points, it just tells you it's double width now, which is more interesting. You have your Sturmovix, which has got armed with everything, rather than the Germans where you have to decide what you want to bring. The Sturmovix come all stock on with bombs and rockets. And they have nerfed the cannon, clearly, because the cannon was a bit broken. So they did fix some things in the book. I think that was pretty good. And yeah, all the painting guides are all inside here. They also give you a rundown of how you can buy the stuff and what are the army boxes and all that. You all know that there are card packs which are limited edition. You might want to get your hands on them as soon as possible. Yeah, so they even have a quick reference as per normal for all books for Battlefront. So that's enough of this. Let's get to the unboxing. Okay, so now we're going to do the unboxing, and I have 4 different army boxes to choose from, and I thought about it, and I wouldn't mind replacing some of my Soviet tanks with plastic tanks. So since I have to open one of these, I'll open the Soviet Tank Shop group, and it comes with a whole bunch of tanks. It comes with 11 tanks and 4 different guns, and you realize that everything in here is plastic, so that's pretty good. And it also promises to come with the cards, so we'll open that up. Wow. Okay, you guys take a look at that. That's a really full box. That's one of the good things about Battlefront. They really make you feel like you bought a lot, because they just stuff everything in there. It's chock full of stuff. For those of you who play Team Yankee, I'm sure you remember the Poteknov's Bears. Like, it was just full, like 9 tanks, with 2 Hinds was just that. That's it. All right, so let's kind of see what we got in here. Start with the paper, because they say they have this in here, but we don't know what it is. It's a little start here. It's got. Oh, okay. All right. It's got like a how to build kind of thing. It's got it tells you to buy colors of war, obviously, because it tells you what colors to use. It tells you how to assemble all the things that are inside this box, as well as how to kind of use it. It kind of circles the points to tell you what you have inside this box. Exactly, actually, it tells you you have 2 IS-2s, and it's got how many points for 2 IS-2s. So it tells you everything. And then it says your new army. You start here. Quick start unit cards, painting your models. And what's next? To buy more stuff. So that's good. Yeah, I think this is a little bit more new player friendly. The old boxes came with like a little white slip which would tell you that's what you do. So that's nice. It comes with your standard set of Soviet decals and bases for the artillery. The Soviet decals also seem to include the heavy tank decals for the IS-2s. Okay, and then in here we've got the bases. We've got the T-34s over here. It seems like these molds haven't changed very much. They're all pretty much the same. I would have liked them if they were in the green plastic like tanks does them, because that kind of helps a little bit when you don't do a very good job of undercoating. But you know, that's fine. It's not a big deal because you really should undercoat your models properly. You've also got all this stuff. You've got, wow, so much stuff. So you got your 7 T-34s here. You've got the new plastics for the Soviet artillery pieces, so you can see them here. They put them in the same packet as the tank commanders, but you have the Soviet crew, the gun crew, which is quite nice. I haven't actually bought a plastic set of artillery yet, so I will use these guys for that purpose. I think that should be quite interesting. And then you have your IS-2s, still with your 1943 and your 1945 parts of it. That's still pretty good. And you have your IS-2s. I gotta say that I think the army box this time round is a little bit more varied. The last one we had was Vasily's Hammer, and Vasily's Hammer didn't have the variety that we wanted. It gave you Su-185s. They gave you 3 of them, and then they gave you 10 T-34s, which kind of railroaded you down a certain way. This one gives you 7 T-34s, which normally forms the basis of your army, and then you have a little bit of the extra stuff, like the IS-2s and the IS-152s. And since most people don't actually bring 5 IS-2s, it's a lot better value to get this box than to get other things. Ooh! Okay, the cards are here, which are nice. So the cards over here have the different, you know, as promised. They've got all the points at the back, the special rules. They've got the all the stat lines and the slow firing, and they've changed a lot of it to just try and streamline a lot of things. Like I came up with before, you are unable to bring the confident version of these tank battalions, and I think that's because we benefit very much from the morale change. So they don't want us to be able to have 10 cheap tanks that don't run until you kill 9 of them. So that was a pretty broken thing, and I think they're right to change it. It also gives you a same thing as Team Yankee. It comes with a whole support unit here structure of what you can bring in support, and then it flips over to tell you your 4 main regiments. Again, you see the Churchill. Mark my words, they're coming out with a plastic one for it. It also comes with a rulebook in there, the mini rulebook, but it's exactly the same as the previous one. And it comes with the plastic kit for these ice tree guns. It gives you the options of playing the Zeiss 3 artillery or the Zeiss 2 anti-tank, which is the AT-11 version, and it gives you the cards for both, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it gives you the Zeiss 3 as well as the anti-tank. So everything is on the cards now, which I think is really, really good. I mean, I think that's perfect for new players, especially when the old rules used to be you'd have to flip to the back to find everything. So I think this is a pretty good place to start for players, and I think the army boxes are pretty good. All of them come with things that you can use. The last British army box we had was chock full of comets, which wasn't really fantastic. This one's got more Cromwells. It's a much better choice. I think anyone who plays competitively would know that. So yeah, thanks for watching the unboxing, guys. See you next time. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Blitz and Pieces does a lot of different videos. We do Flames of War videos, we do Team Yankee videos, we do the Walking Dead videos, co-op as well as versus. We also have a few more series that I think will be very interesting to you, like our Tanks Facts video, as well as our Math of War video, which I think you should find pretty interesting, where we just go through all the probabilities and all the different tactics that we could use. So anyway, I hope you guys do like and subscribe to us just below us here, or check out any of the other videos. We also have a store where we sell all these things. You can also find us there, and the links are all below. Thanks.